Hi everybody, this is Ben from Typefox, here to talk again about Langium and Mini Logo. And today in particular, this tutorial is going to be going over a couple of things. The first is we're going to be describing migration from Langium version 2 to Langium version 3. In addition, we're also going to be talking about integrating Langium with Monaco, which is going to be the core topic of this video. But to start first, we're going to go over the migration from Langium 2 to 3 because this is particularly relevant, and it came up in my own case when I was actually needing to set up this tutorial. So as you can see here, I've got a couple of changes, or a lot of changes, that I'll walk you through. Feel free to pause the video if you need to look over any specifics, but I'll try to make the overview pretty brief. So first of all, we need to change the type of your package JSON out of module here, since we are now on ES modules, since Langium already moved to ESM. Move Langium from version 2 if you have it there, or version 1 if you're really far behind, to version 3.0 at the lowest. There's also 3.1, there's also 3.1.2, but 3.0 should be just fine. Make sure that you also match the VS Code language client and language server with your version of Langium, and same for the protocol and the types. Don't forget the CLI down here as well. Make sure that that is as close as possible to your Langium version. Your TS config will also need to be updated. In particular, you need to update your target, your module, and your module resolution strategy. You don't have to take these exact values, but you do need to make sure they are at least these are higher. Because we're now on ES modules, you're going to need to change some of the imports to .js. This is pretty straightforward, like so. The other thing is some Langium imports have shifted. Langium has been restructured to provide a series of granular exports to make it easier to produce more compact bundles. So a lot of the LSP services, which provide the bulk of Langium in many cases, are now factored out into Langium/LSP. However, some of the core services, those which are just independent of the LSP, are now under the Langium export as it was before. So in many cases, you'll actually see that you just move pre-existing services or other imports from Langium itself to Langium/LSP. The other thing is that some services will now need to be awaited as they are now asynchronous, and the validation should be changed here from a string to a bool. Your generator will need to be updated with a couple .js extensions, and notably, your imports are now coming directly from Langium/generate, another export path directly for generator functionality that is exported from Langium itself. The other thing is that the process generator node has been replaced with toString, which is semantically equivalent in this case. Your index TS will need to be changed in your source CLI. A lot of .js changes here, and in particular, one new import from Langium/node for the node file system. This is used to determine what file system we use to build our service set around. This is particularly relevant in the case with Langium and Monaco because we can't actually use a file system if we're running in the browser, and we want to have an empty file system in most cases. For your main TS, for your language server, you're going to need to actually also change some of these imports. Again, LSP ones, like starting the language server, come from /LSP, and the node file system comes up here again. The rest are .js, and then you're going to have to update your create mini logo services function call here. Keep in mind, if you get a very cryptic error from this with a connection error with a very large type, it is quite likely that your package JSON or your package lock is out of sync with regards to the version of Langium that you are using and the version of the VS Code language server and client that you are using. They need to match. So double check that those versions are correct. Double check that the log file is not out of date. Sometimes it can catch you unexpectedly, so just watch out for that. Your mini logo module will also need to be changed, importing from /LSP for the LSP related services and Langium for injected module. And just context here is just a small change. It's no longer an optional parameter. Lastly, we have your validator, which is more or less the same. It's just .js, and the core thing here is the validation checks have been changed. You don't need to create your own map type here. We have already provided a helper type, utility type to do it for you. And that's it for the migration. So again, if you need to go over these, please go through the video, stop at your, at the point of interest, and take your time to kind of go through these migration points. And if you have any questions, please ask in the comments as well. Beyond that, we're going to dive straight into setting up Langium with Monaco now. All right, so one of the first things you want to start with for setting up Langium and Monaco is to create a new entry point for our language. Now, the key thing here, in particular, looking at the main TS, is that this is actually configured for running locally on our file system. In particular, the node file system's right there. And we don't really want to do that anymore. We actually want to have a separate entry point for our language server that is designed to run in the browser. And so we're going to do that by setting up a main browser TS here. And so here's an example of what the main browser.ts can look like. As you can see, it has a similar structure to the original main TS that we've already been looking at here. But the key aspect that's changed is the file system is no longer the node file system. It's now the empty file system. And we have a way to actually establish a connection with a browser message reader and writer, which makes sense because we're looking at browser specific applications. Now, the one thing, and I've left it here, is that there's an error with a dedicated worker global scope. Now we want to be able to do this to be able to set up the reader and writer. So we actually need to go into our tsconfig and change our compiler options here to make this work as expected. You're going to want to go into your tsconfig.json here and be able to modify in your libs under your compiler option. In addition to ESNext, you want to add the following. You want to add DOM and you want to add web worker. And then when you go back to your main browser, you should see that this dedicated worker global scope resolves correctly. Now we have a working entry point. Well, in a sense, we have a working entry point to be able to run this in the browser, but we need to be able to actually build a web worker for this in the first place. So in order to do that, let's go back to our package.json and let's add a new script. Let's call it something like build worker. Okay, so I've added in our build worker script here, and it's just going to run esbuild. It's going to minify on the main browser GS. It's going to bundle it. It's going to format as IFE, and it's going to dump it in public. Let's go ahead and let's see if that actually runs as expected. Well, one of the first things that runs here is that we don't have esbuild installed. So let's make sure that we actually have esbuild installed with, npmi esbuild. The latest should work just fine. Now let's run it again. And you can see it actually doesn't resolve something correctly here. And this makes sense because we haven't built the project yet. So let's build the project and we actually have our worker in public. Okay, so far so good. Nice. If you're still having problems generating your worker, double check to make sure that you're not coupled with FS or some other file system dependent modules in a related file. Although we have a language server as a web worker, we need to actually reference it correctly. And so in order to be able to do that, we need to set up Monaco. So in order to do this conveniently, we're going to use something called the Monaco editor wrapper, which is a helper that wraps around some of Monaco's core functionality and provides an easy way to set it up and interface with it. So we're going to be using the Monaco editor wrapper and the Monaco editor worker packages. These are maintained by Typefox as well. We use them quite often and they've been very, very helpful for maintaining Langium and Monaco stacks. And as you can see here, I just installed the Monaco editor wrapper and the Monaco editor workers. And now you should be able to see these both in your package.json. Well, this one's out of date actually, so let's just reload that there. For reference, we're going to want to make sure to use 039 and 310 for your Monaco editor workers and your Monaco editor wrapper. There are newer versions of the workers in the wrapper, but this tutorial will follow with these pre-existing versions to stay consistent with what's written in our documentation online. Now, in addition to our build worker script, we're also going to need a script that prepares the public folder, and we're also going to need a script that prepares a build in the web. The web build will then consume our worker as well. And now this will actually run build, it'll prepare our public, and it will actually build the worker, and it will copy over any scripts that we're missing. But keep in mind, we need to actually set up some of this stuff here too. So let's go ahead and do that. From the top level of your project, go ahead and create a scripts folder, and in it, go ahead and add prepare public MJS. We're going to add the contents like so. We're going to invoke esbuild. We're going to use shell.js to help us invoke things locally. And we're just going to allow us to basically target some of these files and set things up so we can get a mini logo JS that we can reference from the browser. We're also going to need to create a copy Monaco assets MJS as well. And the contents will look like so. Now that we've set up all this, let's go ahead and prepare a static page that we can use to serve our Monaco instance with them. I've added the following index HTML inside source/static. You can copy this from the tutorial on langium.org under Langium and Monaco, which is under docs learn mini logo. But you can also pull it from here if you pause your video for a second. In addition, we're also going to need the associated styles.css stored alongside the HTML. Similarly to the index HTML, the styles CSS is also coming from the tutorial. Lastly, there's the JavaScript setting up for our Monaco instance, which is going to be stored in source/static/minilogo.ts. It'll be used for setting up Langium as well. And so this is the most complex part of setting up this stack. So we're going to go ahead and walk through this. To start with, in our minilogo.ts inside our static folder, we're going to want to make sure to reference the bundle from Monaco editor wrapper, the build worker definition from Monaco editor workers, and the add Monaco styles functionality from the wrapper. We can also set up a quick setup function. This is going to be used to allow us to quickly invoke the build definition and adding the styles. Next, we're going to want to be able to set up a way to reference the grammar in terms of a highlighting for our grammar. And so we're going to do this through Monarch. And you can do this again by adding a simple object and defining the states that are there. As a quick note, in order to be able to produce this Monarch grammar or a grammar like it, you're going to want to be able to actually modify your Langium config JSON. So if you go back to the top level of your project, you'll notice this file here, and in it, you'll see there's a TextMate mark here. In addition to the TextMate property, we actually want to add a Monarch one. And this just literally indicates that we want to generate this. And in order to actually generate this file under syntaxes, you need to run Langium generate. And you'll see there, here's our Monarch output. So again, you can copy this over into your function for your mini logo TS file. It should essentially match, assuming you don't want to customize it any further. Next, we want to set up the code that runs by default when we actually start the editor online. And so here's some main code that just draws a simple object. In addition, we also want to add a function for retrieving the worker, which we produced before, and being able to actually add it into this instance to be able to reference it. Now, by creating the worker in advance, it gives us the ability to directly interact with the worker and language server independent of the wrapper itself. We can even pre-configure it further if we so wish. Next, we want to set up the worker configuration by specifying some type information, a quick little interface here, and a helpful function called create user configuration, which will specify some configuration details that will be used to set up our Monaco instance to the wrapper. Keep in mind that because we're using a Monarch grammar, we're going to be using the classic config for editor. Now that our config is set up, we can create an instance of the wrapper, start it, and pass in our user configuration with some additional information to set it up using some of the functions we've already written. And that's it. Now, if everything was already configured correctly, and feel free to go back to the video to make sure that everything looks right, we should have a valid wrapper that will display code as we want it in the browser. But now we need to serve it. Okay, for serving our app, I've set up the following. I did mention that we're going to be using Express before, but due to a slight change in how we wrote the tutorial, we actually decided to go with using HTTP natively from Node.js. But you can do the same thing with Express. And again, this is in the actual documentation for the tutorial, so feel free to reference that for detail. Now that our server is there, we're going to need a way to actually invoke it, and so we can do so by adding a quick serve script to our package.json. And that's it. At this point, we should be able to run everything and verify that we're actually getting the results we want. So let's run our build web script, which should invoke all parts of the build phases. We're getting a bit of an error here. Let's quickly go over that. Okay, there were a couple things I had to change here. So one was that I forgot to add setup. I didn't actually invoke it anywhere, so go ahead and make sure you invoke that before you actually do something here. And the other thing was that since we're IAFE, we can't actually invoke async at the top level. So I just went ahead and removed that. We don't need to await it. We just need it to actually fire off and do its thing. After we run build web, we can then run npm run serve. We can jump to the instance. Okay, so I think I found out the error here. One, I arranged the setup after the wrapper. This seems to work okay, but the thing that I was getting is this. And so it's running, but I missed something here. It's interesting, actually. The color is not being picked up. And I realized that even in this example, I have a color, but in this version of the language, there's no color. It's not actually supported. So I got ahead of myself here. So this actually makes a good opportunity to actually add that color in. So it's a kind of command. So let's go ahead and add it in here. It goes between, it doesn't matter where it goes. So just put it here. We're going to call it color, and I can bring it over alongside pen and move. You can say color command, and there we go. Now we have one more terminal that we have to support here, which is hex. And hex terminal is just a way to specify a color in hexadecimal. Now, a key thing is if it wasn't prefaced with a pound, then you'd have to worry about terminal ordering. In this case, if ID could be in some way colliding with this one, put your more specific terminal, that's the subset, first. They will be evaluated in the order they are encountered. Just a heads up. But now that that's in there, we want to go ahead and run Langium generate. Let's run build web because that just runs everything for us. Looks good too. And let's run serve. Okay, and now let's see what we got. And cool. It looks like we actually got it here. I can actually see that we have language recognized as expected. So we have mini logo in the web. We even have our colors here. Pen up, pen down, pen up, color blue, or color like this. Now we have the expected support in the browser with Langium and Monaco running completely independent of a backend, except of course for the server that's providing the static files. But as you've all seen, they are just static files. Doesn't really matter where you serve them from or how you serve them, so long as they're accessible, it's gonna run. All right, so now that we have that, we are at the end of this tutorial actually. It's got full highlighting. We're fully connected to a language server that is running in the browser without a backend. This means we have full LSP support for operations that we would expect to have a native IDE like VS Code. And so that's it. We're all set here. For the next logical step, we're going to talk about using the same setup that we have here, except we're going to be adding some generation from it too. So as you can actually see that there's a conveniently equivalent space to the editor on the right-hand side here. And that's because we're going to fill it with an HTML5 canvas, and we're going to actually take these mini logo programs you can write here, and we're going to translate them into drawing instructions that can actually execute on that canvas. And so stay tuned, and we'll show you that part soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Langium tutorial.